Hi, we've got an amazing show with you today. Our guest is Vicki Fitch. She is an author, a speaker, and a motivational coach. So let's get into the show. Hi, Vicki.
Hello, how are you, Bruce?
Good. So I didn't really get too much into how we know each other or how we met, but we'll talk about that as well. Let's first start off with who are you and what you do and why you're so special.
Oh,
Uh,
you darling.
so we've known each other for about 5 years, and you've been in business for more than that.
Oh,
So
yeah. I started my first business when I was 12, actually. And I always pretend I'm only 22, and we'll just go ahead and stick with that for now. But I have a few decades of experience behind me. So, yeah, I had my first business when I was
I
12.
I go with two ages. I'm either 39
Hmm.
or 89
Oh,
because I look really good for 89.
you look hot, baby. You look hot.
So, and if you get to the 39 reference, then you're older than I am. So,
I got it. I got it. But
so
I'm only 22. So,
excellent, looking good.
thank you.
Um, so you say you've been in business since 12.
I did. I started my first business when I was 12 because my dad wanted, I wanted a phone line in my room because we didn't all used to get like iPhone 6 or 10 or whatever they're at these days when we were 6 years old. And I got that little curly corded thing hanging from the wall. And he said, no, unless I paid for it myself. So I had to start business. And anyway, that's a whole nother story, but I'll share it if you'd like.
So then you haven't always been a coach. You've been in sales prior to this.
Yes.
So a lot of coaches probably have that background too, that background in marketing and sales and business.
I think most don't actually, and that's kind of a problem. Like people think like if they become successful in selling one item, that somehow they'll start delivering, messages or content with that. And we have to be a little bit careful. I actually, after that 12, I started another business. I bought my first house when I was 18 or 19, excuse me. And when I was 20, I started my first company with employees. Excuse me. I started a bookkeeping and tax firm. So you have to deliver a lot of information and be able to articulate yourself well as well as
Yep.
market yourself when in business. So I started learning those skills and then went into the direct sales industry where I was top 10 worldwide for more than a decade. And those things where you start to really develop well-rounded skills and not just myopic ones where you know how to do one thing well. And that's what led into my success in consulting with other people.
Because that's what actually how you help businesses. Because a lot of people know how to do that one thing. They know how to make a widget, and
Right.
as well, if I can make the best widget ever, I'm going to go into business and make widgets for everybody.
Right.
And they don't have the background in finance or marketing or sales, and they just think that people, if they build it, they will come. And there's more to it than that. And that's where you kind of come in.
It is, and that's like I said, from starting at 12 and starting to recognize the value of what people need and what they want, and then finding a way to fill that need. That gave me an opportunity when I was, 20 and started a bookkeeping and tax firm. And there's a lot of CPAs that are a lot older, and but I started developing relationships with people as well as studying and understanding. And I came up with a niche market of problem resolution with the IRS because people were always afraid of the IRS, and I wasn't, and so that was a niche that I developed, and then I sold that company and worked at my husband. He was my fiance at the time, got me to sell my business and go run a division of his company, a publicly traded company. And so I learned some additional things there. And then, went in, like I said, we started a concrete resurfacing company, and we've built and sold 5 businesses from the ground up.
Wow.
So yeah, lots of education that now we do full service. We're a full service agency.
Yeah, I'm a pack rat. So I started my company 36 years ago or 35 years ago, and I still have it because I don't want to sell it. So
I know it's a baby. It's your baby, right?
yeah.
So I
Although
totally
we
get that.
have actually advanced, we've moved beyond because we started off doing weddings
Hmm.
and some corporate videos, and now we do no more weddings, and we're doing live streaming, and so
Yeah.
we've kind of moved into this digital age.
Yes.
So we actually have another guest person watching is Jean McDonald. We talked to Jean a few months ago,
Hey, Jean.
and she is also kind of which was Fascinate, and she has a fantastic guidance program in there too. So I guess that's kind of what the show is all about: is creating content for business owners, marketing, sales, finance, business.
Well, and making sure, yeah, that when we can do all of those things, and I'm trying to share it out right now, but to make sure we can
Yep.
drive some additional traffic here. But yeah, I think that's what happens is a lot of entrepreneurs think build the widget, they will come, and they don't. And then they'll try and find out from someone, well, how do I market? But they don't understand their own market. So they're taking advice from someone who doesn't really understand the market and trying that. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But when you understand people and then marketing and you work through these things, then you understand how to bring it all around full
Right.
circle. And that's where I think one of the reasons that we're so successful as an agency is that we can do everything from website development to social media content creation to management of social media, SEO. We can build those pieces for them and help them become really well-rounded.
Yeah. How often do you get a client that says, everybody is my target audience?
Beginning customer people are new in business. We get that all the time. Other people are a little bit more refined. They start, they've talked to someone else or they've understood that they have to identify that ICA or their ideal client avatar or ideal client audience. And they start to learn how to pare it down, but I'm a weight loss product, but everybody, but everybody isn't buying. So I always tell them,
Yeah.
you want to look and see, well, who's the most likely person to pull out their wallet and their credit card and deliver money to you. And that's maybe where you should start. If we have to get that basic, just think about who's the most likely, whether it's male or female and what age range they are and that kind of stuff.
Yep. And we have a couple more guests here. Norm, great to see you here. And Jody. Jody is one of our biggest fans. She's catches almost all our shows, which is great.
All right. I like it.
And strangely enough, they've all been guests on my show, so that's even better. So thanks for having you back.
Yay!
And then what we'll do is probably put a link in our show notes to those shows with them, and so you can watch more of our content. So you spent 2018 working hard.
Yes.
You decided to take 2019 off to write a book, and I think you started off doing live streams.
Well, yeah. What happened was when Periscope came out as an app, for those of you who know about Periscope, I was one of the early adopters, like you were, of jumping on the platform, developing a live streaming audience. And so I was just doing a daily show. I was actually doing it twice a day because people had so many questions about business and entrepreneurism. So, kind of getting familiar with the platform, I just did a show and talked about, whether it's marketing or business, and people started asking questions. I say, oh, well, I got to write a book on that. Or, like when people, well, I remember one, and I don't remember who it was, but they jumped on, and this was probably, I guess it was 2000, wasn't it 17 or 18? I think it was 17, 16. I don't worry. I can't remember when when Periscope came out.
Periscope was 15.
15?
No,
okay.
16, because it was after Blab. And we'll talk about that a little later.
It was before Blab. That's where I found out about Blab, was on Periscope. So Blab came after, for sure.
Right, actually, so basically the timeline is Meerkat.
Yeah, Meerkat.
Launched at South by Southwest.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then Periscope came out shortly after that.
Yeah, Periscope. Twitter bought Periscope before it was even launched as an app, and just the beta users were there. And it was only on iPhone, so I had to borrow a friend's iPhone to do it at first. But I was there since day one of Android, like here. But that, so that delivering that value, and people would say stuff. And I remember somebody popped on and said, something about them not being good enough. And I was like, I think it was a girl, and I have to look back at one of those shows, and I'm like, girl, you had a bully in your head, and we need to evict him. And I said, I have to write a book on that. And then different topics would come up, and I started doing the Christianpreneur show because I'm a Christian and entrepreneur. And then, people kept saying, where can I buy your books? I was like, well, I haven't written them yet. This is, I'm developing this content. And there were so many titles that at like I don't know, I'm going to say September of 2018, I said to my husband, honey, I have this really weird idea. Because I think if I write a book in regular authors kind of standards, you write a book, wait a year, you deliver another one, or maybe 6 months. And I said, it'll be like 10 or 15 years before I finish all these books. And I go, what if I just take a year off and write a book a month? And the 12 books, 12 months series. And he's like, you're crazy, but if anybody can do it, you can.
Yep.
And I was like, I thought about it. I talked about my audience and talked to them, and they're like, yeah, do it. And of course that's, financially I have a lot of clients and stuff. So that just means I wouldn't take on new clients and this. And so I was like, okay, I'll just make it kind of a marketing thing, 12 books, 12 months. And we launched the first book on 12/12 at 12/12, so, and then I actually had to do a 13th book because, when you get to the next year of 2020 or 2019 at 12/12, then you at 12/12, you could not have another book. So I did a 13th book actually in that same time period. But anyway, so that's where the books came. And it was just really because there was so much content and answers that people wanted. And they like the analytical, but story-based way that I deliver messages, the analogies.
So you have a lot here. Let's pull them up real quick. So these are the 12 books.
Those are, yeah, that's the 12.
And you wrote them. The first one was what?
Direct Selling 101 was the first
101.
one. And then Evict the Bully in Your Head. This one was the second one.
Okay. So you kind of, the way you have them on your website, it goes top, bottom, top, bottom.
Yeah, I figured that, only the direct sales people, even though I'll tell you something, Direct Selling 101, although it is about direct sales, it's about people, it's about relationships, it's about communication. So anybody can read it. As a matter of fact, many people said, why don't you just read? All you have to do is tweak it just a little bit and you could just send it as a self-help book. But because I wasn't in the direct sales industry for so long, that's why I created that series. I probably will at some point deliver another version of it, but that's why I figured I would only have, for the first 6 months, I'd only have direct sales people paying attention if I just did all those, and then the other ones. Plus, some of them were just on my heart and I had to do it.
Yeah. So what are your? It's kind of like babies. Which are your two favorite? Because I can kind of tell which are my two favorites.
Well, I mean, they're also different. Like Direct Selling 101 is your first, it's your your firstborn child. And so you pour so much into it and it launches the series, even though each book is completely independent, they're all tied together. And I think you and I were talking about this earlier about this map called Fitchapelago, which I created, and Jay did this for me, Jay Mackey, who I also met on Livestreaming. And we got all the islands, and one of them, as you know, right here is Fitchslap Island, which is where the book that I talk about live streaming and podcasting and how to market using, because my last name is Fitch, and how I use phrases like getting fitched and Fitch slap and that kind of stuff as ways to market and brand myself. So Fitch Slapped has a lot of you guys in it. Like you guys are in, you're in there, and Cliff's in there, and all of our old Blab friends have been connected into that book and how we met and stuff. So those are great. But Evict the Bully in Your Head, I think this one has the most emotional impact. I wrote it because so many people don't feel like they're enough. And I started what's called the You Are Enough Global Initiative, helping people to remember that you are enough just the way you are. And because we have a bully in our head that says, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not whatever enough, And the truth is that, that's a big fat lie, and you are enough just the way you are. And it goes through ways to help you recognize your value.
I think SNL did a comment on that with Stuart Smalley.
Oh, really? I didn't see it.
Yeah, so it was I've forgotten his name. I know you guys help me who it is, but he was a senator for a while, and he was a comedian, and he basically talks to the mirror, and he's a self-help person. We'll pull it up and put it in the show notes.
Okay.
And I'll think of his name.
I'll have to check it out.
And so here commenting on social media. Revisiting it, remarketing, and selling into.
Absolutely.
And creating an avatar so that you know who you're talking to. Because if you're talking to that one person, you're going to reach that one type of person as opposed to trying to reach everybody, because not everybody is your audience.
They're not. I mean, and let's face it, different generations talk different ways. Whether, like my son is 18 and he was getting rid of some of these clothes that, are perfectly fine. He goes, Mom, that's not drippy. And I was like, okay. So if I was going to talk to him about stylish dressing or or dapper, dapper was a word way back in the day versus drippy, then, you have to talk to your audience. Who's the one that you're actually marketing to?
So here's let's see. There we go. That's Stuart Smalley. I'm going to share it here.
Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay. I will have to check it out and see which one that you're talking
Al
about.
Franken, that's his name.
Okay.
So again, because to kind of help. So we're talking about live streaming a little bit as well, and also your book. We haven't finished your book story. So 2019, you're still live streaming. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I was live streaming. I think I went to once a day during that time. But then I started a daily vlog, which actually I don't think a daily vlog of the journey on YouTube. And yeah, and life happened. Things happen. Your life gets crazy when you decide you're going to dedicate that much time. Because originally it was just 2 hours a day in the morning because I write really fast. But then I ended up firing my publisher because they couldn't keep up with us. And then I started a publishing company. So then I was doing that and I was doing the publishing and we're doing the editing. And all of a sudden it had to be 4 hours a day because I had to get, stuff done. And then you're marketing the previous book where you're writing this one and do it. And it's like, whew. So I actually have in the works right now 12 books, 12 months, the journey of like what I went through and what things I would change if people are going to write multiple books and just ideas and the trials that you go through because you're always going to find more things. When you try and really start a full-time job in the middle of a full-time life, things are going to come up and so there's just talking about some of those things as well. And then the speaking tour, which we launched the first book 12/12 at 12/12 of 2019. So I finished the last book there and then was it wait am I getting my no 12 the 18 2018 is I released
Right.
the first book and then the last book was 12/12 at 12/12 in 2019 and we booked out our speaking tour. And as a matter of fact, I was leaving in 3 days when COVID hit, and we were and the airports got shut down. The college I had two. I was speaking at Trinity Christian College and another a Chicago Christian high school. I had 3 bookstores for Barnes and Noble on the first segment of the tour. And 3 days before we left, everything got canceled. And then people were still waiting because they thought it was going to be over. And then all of a sudden cancel. And I did some odd online, but most of them, like I said, people were still trying to figure out what was going on. So it was like, I took this year off and now it made it like I took 2 years off almost because the whole year that we had everything booked just kind of fell apart because people were not getting in person, as you know. And things were changing. People were still trying to figure out what was going on in life. So they weren't engaging in events, even like social media marketing world and different pieces anymore. They were in kind of a holding pattern trying to figure out what was going on.
So do you think you were positioned well having been in live streaming prior to 2020?
Yes, absolutely. Because your audience continues to grow and you continue to deliver value, and you have a chance to in live streaming you can pivot at any time. You can open up a new conversation or a new topic or a new idea, and people can share that out, and your audience can continue to grow. And it's really disappointing that Periscope is shutting down because, I don't think Twitter is going to be carrying those followers over to your Twitter account. And I spent the first year, I mean, I don't know how many followers I have on there right now, but it's pretty substantial. And as you know, what happened with Blab, I had, I don't know, 10 or 15,000 followers on Blab, I think it was. I can't remember. So if my numbers are off, but I did 2 podcasts a week on there. We had, live events. We were talking to people, doing the after Blabs, and it was just an amazing experience that's where my international market came from. I have clients in 7 countries. I've traveled all over the world speaking about sales to social media and everything in between, the keynote speaker at several social media conferences. And again, one of my main signature talks was leveraging the power of live streaming, converting contacts to cash, so people could learn how to not just talk, but actually make some money.
And I think that's a key point because I've seen a lot of people who are doing live streaming today who are doing it with no real financial ROI set up. They may have some sort of, I want to build my audience, but they're not turning it into cash.
Right. And then they just abandon it. Like, oh, I got people talking to me, but I need money. And, that's the thing is money money's what business is about. Otherwise, it's a hobby.
Yep. Or else
So
it's a time suck, I guess.
time sucking hobby, because it is a hobby. If you're not making money and you spend, 20, 30, come on, some of those people are spending 40 hours a week plus on Blab.
Yep.
That's
Well, there's a new platform now called Clubhouse.
yeah, and I did. Guess what? My son gave me his old iPhone. I was going to tell you that I can
Again.
take that invitation now and get on there with you guys.
So it kind of sends back to the only thing, the launching these platforms on iPhone first, I think, is only because there's more control over it. Because if they just start developing for an Android, they've got to develop at least 10 different versions of it, because there are 10 different.
Really?
Well, there's a Samsung iPhone, there's Android, and then there's Google. And so with Apple, it's just basically one platform, and it's a lot more tied down. So we've been talking about this Blab thing for a while. So let's get, although we still haven't finished your full journey story, but we'll come back to that. So here is a clip from our very first show. And
oh, I can't wait.
And
maybe I can.
So my co-host, his name is Cliff Bodenweiser. Bodenweiser. And this was me 5 years ago, and I'm a lot more talkative today than I was 5 years ago. So here's a clip. So
great.
There was a long pause between looking and great. That is not a good thing for a girl.
I have to say. The right button. I was trying to get to this.
Oh, it should be It's Vicky Fitchberg.
Vicky Fitchberg. Okay, all right. I could go with that
because it's because it's all German names.
And when Vicky's in the room, we can't say any of those words. That was only 3 or 4 of them. There are 3 more.
Oh, that was hilarious. I'm still a G-rated girl, so I love that. And what a great flashback.
Yeah, and so we're having a reunion next Tuesday in the same time slot. It's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. your time. And we're going to bring in some of the old gang back who were on the show back in 2016. It's our 5th year anniversary of the very first episode.
That's going to be so much fun. I mean, honestly, I'm so looking forward to it. As a matter of fact, I started telling people, like Lindsay Badger, she wants to come, and so we definitely. I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun.
It's a whole nother universe. There is the Blab universe, which kind of has gone into the social media, and then I've got another universe here, which is my, I guess, local clients. And then since the pandemic hit, I've joined a couple masterminds, which is international.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And so
building that base too.
A lot of these people never even heard of Blab because they haven't been on live streaming for 5 years.
Right. We're the old souls.
Yeah. It was so much difficult back then. Today it's so much easier.
Meaning what? Like in what regard?
Well, there was no Facebook Live 5 years ago. YouTube Live wasn't existent. There was no IGTV.
Right.
The only way you can go live was pretty much Periscope and Meerkat.
And then Meerkat went. Yeah. It was great. But again, all of us, we connected in a way. Many of us are still connected, like you and I are still connected. Even if we don't talk to people every day, we're still connected. And it's, live streaming really does builds a business and a brand, but it also builds relationships with people. And that makes a huge difference.
I think, which is the topic of our show today, is building those long-term relationships. Because I've never met you in person.
Right.
Because I haven't been to social media marketing world. That's whatever the name is.
Yes, Social Media Marketing World, right?
Okay.
Which is online this year. They're not even doing it in person.
Yep. And yet I've connected with a lot of people who are involved with it.
Well, and I think because a lot of the people that were in the Blab community and the Periscope community were content creators. They were creating content. They understood their businesses and started delivering value. And it really, being that early adopter is actually what created the demand in the marketplace, is having people share out the content and other people learning it. As a matter of fact, if any of you guys know Katya Verbana, I don't know if I said her name right, Katja was in we used to have a thing I called a Peri hop. And so I would bring new people in that had never live streamed before. And we would start out and we'd just go person to person, but just to practice. They weren't trying to deliver value or do a Peri train, but we were just jumping from person to person. So everybody would be there to support them, no matter how good or bad they did, that they would know that they were in a safe place. And Katja now makes a living. She was doing live streaming and teaching people, and she's attributed that to me because she never would have gotten on if we hadn't done that. So we have effects on people. We affect people and those long-term relationships and help them with that ripple effect to create additional relationships, and just referring people back and forth, that we meet someone that we believe has value and say, hey, well, I know so-and-so, or this person, when you deal with somebody every day watching their live stream, how they're going to answer questions. They're not looking it up in a manual. They're, it's part of who they are, and so they can deliver that value. So you feel confident, referring them to other people.
So feeling comfortable on camera is important. I found that most people are afraid of hitting that go live button. And yet they're still on Zoom meetings. So Zoom is a good place to get started to feel comfortable on camera.
Sure.
But doing something like this is a different experience than doing like a Zoom meeting, because you can. I've seen people zone out during Zoom meetings. They're typing away, doing their own work. I've actually saw one Zoom meeting where the guy was actually turned sideways, working on a computer over here. His camera is here. And it's like, okay, thank you very much for paying attention. So
right, you're kind of like, and even like right now, I catch myself, because if everybody who's watching knows, your picture is over there, so I'm looking over there, and now I'm trying to look. If you guys don't know this about live streaming, look in your own eyes, because if it's lined up with your camera, because otherwise it looks like you're not paying attention when I was really just looking at Bruce's face.
Yep, and that's another thing is there's a little green button right here, a green light that I'm looking into, because that's where the camera is. And yet I've got my screen over here, which I'm showing my content, and I've got another screen here, which I'm monitoring the stream to make sure it doesn't crap out on us. And then I got you in front of me. So again, it is a skill to be able to connect with your audience. It's easier, I think, to do an interview with someone to be able to play off the content. I know there are a number of people who do live streams basically to the light and to their audience, and hold 15, 30, 1 hour of time just talking. And hopefully they've got some sort of interaction in the chat, as we do here today.
Right.
There's another one. I am so funny. I've got a dry sense of humor, I guess. Sometimes a lot of people do not know whether I'm kidding or not. There was one time I had brought in a video clip with a song by a well-known artist, and it played during the clip, and somebody asked me if I wrote that, and I said yes, and they believed me. So it is in delivery. I was actually watching I was editing another video. The guy was trying to tell jokes, but his timing was all off. Because even
that's painful to watch, right?
The jokes could be funny. It's just that it wasn't funny. It's like, okay, I would have laughed if the timing were better. So
right. Right. It's like the joke's funny. We just got to work on the delivery. And I think that's what people do with live streaming too, is it does take a skill to be able to talk just to yourself with nothing else going on. And I always tell people that we're starting, if you don't have any audience yet, just talk like you're delivering, a talk. And when you get some people start, then just answer a question, but be prepared with maybe 5 points you're going to do. You don't have to stay on forever. I remember some of my live streams in the beginning they'd end up being 2 and 3 hours, because there'd be so many questions and so many people. And then I cut them down to an hour, like max, and then I cut them down to 30 minutes. But I still have that flexibility to go over a little bit. But it was wearing me out, so you want to make sure that you're always fresh to deliver valuable content. And you don't want to hit the live button and if you don't have anything worthwhile to say. I'm petting my cat, unless you're just doing, I used to call it my backyard chat. If I just wanted to chat, like I'm not delivering any value today, I'm just going to chat, and then, we'll have some kind of conversation go on. or, hey, I got something to say, and we can talk about it.
Yep. And Jody, who does a live stream on scheduled live stream, says she talks to a friend, like she's talking to a friend.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
you can just, and what I've done in some cases is I'll put a picture of my avatar next to my camera
Okay,
and talk to that.
excellent. That's a good tip.
Although,
Somebody you can look into their eyes and say, "Hey, I get you."
and also that's you're not actually looking down at yourself, because a lot of people do that too. It's like, okay, here I am, I'm looking good. Okay, is my hair okay, or is
I know.
my background? And then it's like, and your guest is talking over there, and
Yeah.
so it is a skill.
The preening cracks me up. Like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes but I do admit I've done it sometimes before. It's like you'll see you have a hair like across your face and you're like trying to find it, so sometimes those can be funny. Preening is different than, correcting something that's gone awry. And I think that as long as you incorporate it. I remember one time, I don't know if you saw that one, Bruce. I dumped a hot cup of coffee on my lap while I was on going, oh, good. Ooh, all right. Anyway, and I just kept going, trying to shake my, get some air in there. But I think it absolutely prepares you for a kind of ad-libbing life, to make sure that you don't take things too seriously. You don't freak out. I mean, it happens. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Just accept it and recognize. Somebody said, "Oh my gosh," but people are going to laugh at me. Who cares? Hopefully they're laughing with us. And if they're laughing at us, then we don't really care if they're gone anyways. Cause that's not a community. That's not a connection. That's someone who doesn't feel good about themselves and is taking that opportunity to kind of try and make other people feel bad. The bullies. And gosh, Periscope was the worst for trolls, wasn't it? I actually have a chapter in one of the books, the one that's on live streaming and social media, about trolls. And I call it Troll Patrol. And we actually had several troll conversions. One of my worst trolls is now one of my absolute biggest fans, and he's on there trolling the trolls. When the trolls start trolling, he's like, "Back off, just step back," and because I say kill them with kindness, that old adage,
Yeah.
but really just because the way we did a troll conversion is I just said, why? I mean, come on. Why would you come on to a live stream of someone you don't even know and start saying mean things? I mean, just help me understand, because happy, confident people don't wake up in the morning and say, "Ooh, who can I hurt today?" I mean, they just don't. So what's going on in your life? I mean, let's just pretend, and the old swing they did on, I think it's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Let's just start over and pretend you haven't done that stuff, and let's just start. What's going on? And then I remember one guy started saying, "Well, I'm in an auto shop business and I'm really struggling," and da, da, da. And so all of a sudden, when you don't start freaking out and you really kind of call them to the carpet, but without trying to be rude, let's just start over. I mean, really, what I do to you? Like, why you want to make fun of me? And what's the deal?
Excellent.
Got off on a troll tangent.
We've got so much more to talk about, but
know.
I think we've hit our time.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We definitely have to have you back again on another show.
Love to do it.
Before we go, though, there's probably another 4 or 5 minutes on one thing that you got a lot of hashtags out there. One of your hashtags is Rock That Dream. This is one of my favorite sayings of yours is dream it, believe it, achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't you end every episode of your live streams with that?
I do. And I want to remind you, like I always do, to dream it, believe it, and achieve it. That's where I leave it.
So how does that occur? And how do you coach people? And I guess even more importantly, how do people contact you?
Well, again, yes, of course. Thank you for putting that up there at VickiFitch.com. You guys can go there, and there's lots of different areas for you to check things out. If you're interested in the books, you can go to VickiFitch.com/5K, and that shows, as a matter of fact, in the books, I have what I call the Fitch 5000, and the people that supported me from the beginning, they got their names in the book alphabetically. And as the reprints come, we update those and add in new people. New people to that, that area. So you can actually get your name in one of the reprints of the books. And, if you guys want to be part of it, we'd love to have you join the journey, because we're all about helping people to recognize their internal value. And if you guys want to do participate in contributing, whether it's emotional support, financial support of the You Are Enough Global Initiative, you can go to vickyfitch.com/You Are Enough. And that's the message we want to tell people, especially right now with the pandemic. People are struggling, and people are depressed and discouraged. Their businesses are struggling. They're personally struggling, and so that's, like I said, we go into everything from kindergarten, where we have costumes and with the Headspace heroes and the bullies teaching people that. And somebody had made a comment on my thing over here about one of the books, number 4, really quick, is called "You're Broke, Not Broken," and that a lot of people they're experiencing financial difficulties right now. And the key premise of that book, which is what she's asking me to say out loud, is that your internal worth has nothing to do with your external circumstances. It absolutely doesn't. And so if you're broke, if you made a bad choice, if you got fired, if you did something stupid and lost what you consider stupid and lost all your money, you being broke doesn't change who you are. You just have to change your perspective and start moving forward. And so if you're experiencing that, just remember that you are enough. Like I said, that's how I was telling you, the books all kind of blend together, but they're all separate, and that you can do it. You can create something just from recognizing your own value.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm going to, on YouTube, we're going to put some links here for your subscribe to my YouTube channel here, subscribe to Vicky's YouTube channel over there, and then we'll have another video link for a suggested video. So thank you all for coming, and great stuff. Thank you very much, Kellen. And Vicky, it's been wonderful seeing you, and I shall see you Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
I'm so excited about that.
And 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we always forget Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So there are people who live in the Mountain Time zone.
Right. Yeah, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, 9. I know, like 4 time zones. It makes you. And then Arizona, stubborn Arizona doesn't change their time, so it can really get confusing.
Yep. Well, great. Well, thank you much.
Thanks, Bruce. Have a great day, and thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. And thank you all for watching. And share and replay, and please subscribe.